Hello, and welcome to the Paranormal Operator Podcast, where we talk about all manner of things that go bump in the night. Here, we discuss sightings, investigations, news, and popular media surrounding the paranormal, supernatural, and occult phenomena. So settle in as we search for the truth. I am your host, Adam, Operator 23. In today's episode, possible legal trouble following the reveal of, quote, non-human beings in Mexico. Space weather. 2 or 3 recent documentaries from Small Town Monsters. A ghostly bicycle caught on camera. And upcoming events. Today's video sponsor is the Sick Chick Flicks Film Festival. Since 2016, Sick Chick Flicks has screened and awarded short and feature-length films in horror, sci-fi, and fantasy, showcasing some of the best indie filmmakers in North Carolina and from around the world. This year, the event will be Saturday, October 7, noon to midnight, at the Varsity Theater in downtown Chapel Hill. Tickets are available from the website sickchickflicksfilmfestival.com or can be purchased through eventbrite.com. Tickets are $20 per person. Here are the 49 different films that will be showcased. The schedule will include breaks for filmmaker panels and a Q&A, so you can actually get to meet some of these amazing independent creators. This is going to be 12 hours of the most amazing films from across the globe, all made by female filmmakers in key production roles. You will also want to stay till the end to make sure you know who walks away with the Blood Raven Award. So, get your tickets for the Sick Chick Flicks Film Festival today. Ufology News. Our first story today comes from me, the Paranormal Operator, entitled Aliens, Mummies, Lawsuits, Oh My. This article talks about not only what happened a couple weeks ago in Mexico with the Congress, but also a new development to this story. So, was proof of alien life on display at the Mexican Chamber of Deputies the other week, or is it a hoax? And in case you're not up to speed, I'm not going to read through everything. I'm just going to give you kind of the highlights. But this guy, Jamie Masson, he's a journalist and UFO enthusiast. And, well, in the past, he's made some outlandish and false claims and done some silly things. But on September 12th, he carted out 2 specimens, let's call them. And they were approximately 60 centimeters long. They each had 3 fingers and 3 toes on each appendage. And their heads were very oddly shaped. Now, at some point in 2015, apparently, because different people had different dates, it was kind of weird. Not everybody had their story straight, so I had to figure out how to straighten it. 2015, Gaia, I'm sure you've probably heard of them. They're a broadcast company that does a lot of occults, new age sort of programming, meditation, that sort of thing. And it's a channel. You can subscribe to them on Amazon, and I'm sure you can subscribe to their website. Anyway, back in 2015, they had a special. I think it was called Be Witness, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, they showed some mummified remains. They said it was an alien, and it was actually just a child. It was a mummified child. Now, why am I bringing this up? So, Mr. Musan and Dr. Benitez, who we'll get to in a minute, they were both in the special. So, coming to present day, Mr. Musan claims that in 2017 he had the Autonomous National University of Mexico test some samples of the current batch of non-humans, and they found them to be 1,000 years old and were not human. So, if you go and you watch the 3+ hour hearing that happened in Mexico, and you have to turn on the English subtitles, which is horrible because some of the audio is it's just bad. I really wish I could get my hands on an English transcript, but at any rate, he said, yeah, we went out, we gave these samples to them, carbon-14, and then it came back non-human. Well, anybody who's anybody, if you know anything about carbon-14 dating and you know anything about DNA testing, you know they are not the same. They are not even remotely the same. So this statement is partly false. The National Autonomous University of Mexico responded then, June 2017, and it republished the same message for September 2023. And that is, it did carbon-14 testing in 2017, and that they do not, nor do they test, that they did not, nor do they test for the origin of a sample or come into contact with the original sample source. So Musan put whatever it was into a vial or a jar or an envelope or whatever and sent it to these people. And then they tested it and they said, okay, this sample, whatever it is, it's about 1,000 years old. Period. That's all we can say about it. So, Dr. Benitez, he is part of Musan's circle of friends, I guess you could say. And as far as I could find, he is the director of Scientific Institute for Health, basically in the Mexican Navy. So he is probably a surgeon, if I had to guess. Various articles gave him various titles, but he's in the Mexican Navy. That I am sure of. At least from these articles, who couldn't all get their story straight. So he was there back in 2015 with Mr. Musan, and he has also stated that what they have are non-human remains. On September 18, he live streamed tests, which included X-rays and CT scans, and determined that the bodies were not manufactured and that all the bones came from the same organism. Now, this is important because people who said that this is a fake, we've seen fakes just like this, they know it's a fake because they can tell, okay, well, that bone's from a chicken, that bone's from a cat, that bone's from a dog, and someone has sewn this all together to make a body. Right? They did something similar to that with a mermaid. I think it was like a part of a monkey and part of a fish that they stitched together. So, according to Dr. Benitez, who is a practicing, well, maybe not practicing, but a licensed physician in the Mexican Navy, is saying that no, these bones are not from disparate animals. He live streamed this, as far as I'm aware. I haven't really poked around for it. I've seen some clips of it, but during the September 12 hearing, he brought up that they did also other tests previous. So this is a second battery of testing that had been done. Now, something about the testing, I don't understand something. I saw on Twitter and then I found it and then I couldn't find it. So it's hearsay, completely hearsay. But I saw a post on Twitter saying that what they tested was a third specimen. That the two specimens shown at the hearing was not what was tested. So I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm just going to throw that out there. If you can find it, go digging. Good luck. It is a twisted web. So, according to many of the news outlets, and I'm not going to name them all, you can look at my sources down here. They are plentiful. There are many people, especially scientists, who scoff and call this a stunt. In fact, Ryan Graves, who was there, he basically has said that this has set us back quite a bit. Because he doesn't care about aliens. He's not in it for aliens. He's in it for a safe airspace. He's like, we need to figure out what this is, flying through our skies before it crashes into one of our planes. And so, yeah, he wasn't very happy. And he came out with a statement as well. But also of note is Professor Brian Cox. And he thinks the specimens are too human. So basically, of all the possibilities of how something could evolve, why would it evolve with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head like ours with the central thorax? Granted, he's a physics professor, but he's a physics professor. He's not a biology professor. He's not an evolutionary anthropologist. Why wouldn't they evolve with a central thorax or, torso, 2 arms and 2 legs? Almost everything on this planet has 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, and a body. And if you're going to develop into something intelligent, like what we did, you're going to develop, more than likely, either telekinesis or opposable thumbs, which means you need hands. Nothing else in the animal kingdom besides, with a few exceptions like raccoons, nothing really outside of apes has hands. So, yeah. I mean, unless you're going to be moving stuff with telekinesis, you kind of need 2 arms and 2 legs to walk around. Not that you have to be bipedal. I think you can be quadrupedal and, and still evolve like that. But it seems, why wouldn't you evolve bipedalism? Like, why wouldn't that be one of the first steps to, intelligence, advanced life? He seems to think that's not the case. Well, he's entitled to his opinion, and that's all that is. It's an opinion. It's a scientific opinion, which does not equal the scientific fact. It is him blowing his nose in a rag. That's all it is, and that's all I'm doing here. This is my opinion. I'm not a scientist, so my commentary on my article, is different. What's in the article is stuff that I've been able to track down. What I'm saying now, again, that's my opinion. You can take it with a grain of salt. So, one thing he did say, and this has been covered in several of the sources, was they needed to send some of that material, specimen, to 23andMe. What most of them don't cover is that he also said, or any other institution, basically for independent verification. I'm not sure I would trust 23andMe because I used 23andMe, and they said I was 1 generation removed from England, and I know that is definitely not the case. I know where all of my grandparents came from. They also said that I was 0.02% sub-Saharan African, and, well, that might be true. I don't think it is. They also said that I was not Native American, which is bogus, because I had my DNA retested, and I'm in, the top 10 percentile of the country. I have more DNA, more Native, specifically Cherokee DNA, than 90% of the population of this country. So, I don't know if I trust them 100%. But send it to a lab, a university, someone else. Shoot, send it to MIT or Caltech or Georgia Tech or something, The whole point of science is it needs to be replicated. So, speaking of this verification, the Twitter account at GChavez101 seems to try to be defending Masson and Dr. Benitez He posted some links to 3 DNA studies, and I'm assuming that these DNA studies are the ones that were conducted at some point. I'm not entirely sure, but he's like, hey, he's doing science. Here's the science. So what do these studies show? Well, the studies, which were published just a few weeks apart, last year, around July, August of 2022, show a breakdown of DNA. Now, Musan, at the hearing, stated, if I'm not mistaken, that a third of the DNA in these creatures is unidentifiable. So, the sample names that you see here, these are what they said on the study, the DNA study. So we have ancient 0002 with almost a third. We have ancient 0003, only 2.62% was unidentified, and ancient 004, I don't know why they left the 0 out, was a little over half unidentifiable DNA. However, unless I'm misreading these, all of them come back as Homo sapien. Like, granted, it could be cross-contamination, but I haven't seen anybody bring that up. I haven't heard anybody float that idea. But it says on the thing, Homo sapien. It is very clear. If you want to see the post, here's the post. This guy right here, there's the date. Here are the links. I'll see if I can open one of these. And it takes a second to load, so I'll take you there in just a second. So, yeah, right there. Organism, Homo sapien. And if we come down here to this, and then we have the metadata. So this is when this is when it was published. It's not when it was done, it's when it was published. And then we look at the analysis. This is the part that takes a minute to load, so I'm going to come back here. So we'll get back to that in just a second. So what is new about this story? Well, there's a lawsuit, or there very well could be a lawsuit. So Mr. Masson may be under criminal investigation. I say may because one hasn't been opened yet. Leslie Carol Ortega Peña of the Peruvian Ministry of Culture has filed a criminal complaint. Now, I don't know what that means in Peru. It might just be a complaint. It doesn't mean that it's a full-on criminal investigation, right? But she has filed a criminal complaint against Mr. Musan as to how exactly he got these things out of Peru. Because even if they are biological, you can't just take a dead body of something from one country and then ship it across the border, right? There's rules and there's laws and, there's procedures you have to go through for stuff like that. And, well, if these aren't biological specimens, then it is thought that they could be pre-Hispanic artifacts. That's also a no-no. You can't just go into someone else's country, into their archaeological areas or historical areas, and take stuff. That is highly illegal. Will get you thrown in jail. So, Mr. Masson says that he is innocent. He did nothing wrong and will disclose that information in due time. I think he used the words, like maybe the right time. But anyway, he says he's done nothing wrong. And because of Miss Peña's actions, he is in fact filing a suit for defamation against the Peruvian Ministry of Culture. And it is his position that the people who brought the specimen out of Peru have all the legal documentation. All right. So this guy right here might be in legal trouble. If not, he's just opened a can of worms. Because when this goes to court, if their court works anything like ours, you got to go through this thing called discovery. And that's basically, if the lawyer wants it, you got to open it up. If it pertains to the course, the case, or if it could possibly pertain to the case, you have to let them see it. All right, so this finally came up. Okay, so we're looking at Ancient 004. We got unidentified, or identified parts, unidentified parts, and if you remember biology, right? We have eukaryotes, archaebacteria. So if we look at eukaryotes, come down to here, look at there, hominids, hominidia, right? That's what we are. If we come down to corona, I actually prefer this view. It gives you a bigger breakdown. So 3% of the DNA is Homo sapien, so only 3%. And yet, it still comes back as this sample is, in fact, Homo sapien. So, I mean, that's science. That's science right there. It's a Homo sapien. Now, that being said, over half of it is unidentifiable. So that could be trash, that could be inorganic material. I don't know, but the lab tests come back Homo sapien, and it's the same thing on the rest of them, except that this green area is larger. This particular one has the most unidentified spots. So let us see the words from the horse's mouth here. I'm going to mute this and turn on the subtitles. No, I want English subtitles. You're supposed to go to English. Pause. Alright, give me just a second. This is supposed to... Why isn't it on auto translate? Why did it do that? Okay, so some of you may not even know you could actually do this with YouTube, and then I'm going to slow it down to 3/4 speed. Okay, so we have Mr. Musan here, and he is doing an interview. Basically saying, thank you much, thanks for seeing you. A few days, shown 2 bodies of non-humans. And, they were found in algae mines between the populations of Nazca and Palpa, Peru. Now that's something that's interesting, because Nazca is on one side of the country, and I've seen other articles that quote it being Cusco, and I think they were mistaken. I think 2015 was Cusco, because these two places are on different parts of the country. But Palpa, I think, is out near Nazca, and they're 1,000 years old. Have characteristics that do not seem typical of human beings or any other species on our planet. He's said that quite a few times. And then, let's see here. Skip ahead a little bit. So here we say, are these bodies stolen? And then he basically fires back with, the Peruvian authorities have never seen these. They don't know what they're talking about. They've never seen them. They've never touched them. They've never had them in their hands. They're not stolen. Anyway, this is the video that you can watch if you want to watch it and read through everything. They had all the legal documentation And maybe the people in Peru are unaware. So, I'm not going to play all of this. You can watch it, you can read it, or listen to it. I don't speak Spanish, so. Are the mummies proof of extraterrestrials? At this point, really, it's unclear. And if you find the image of the child from 2015, the mummy, and I'm not even sure if the image that I'm looking at was in fact that particular image, because the Gaia special, I believe, was on YouTube. It's no longer there, or if it was, the link that I found was inactive. It doesn't look anything like these mummies. It has a clear human cranium. These mummies do not have a clear human cranium. Even if you wanted to say, oh, it's a human with an elongated skull, it's not. Their cranium is like square. Their face is square. But that's beside the point. These things could be simply made up. And, what happened in 2015 was clearly a child. And what's happening now? Is it a hoax? Maybe. Dr. Benitez is pretty sure it's not something that's just been cobbled together, and hopefully this will go to court and we will see exactly what all this is and has come to. Here are my sources. You can check them out if you would like. This is only a small smattering. I actually have quite a larger document, so I can try to keep all of this straight, because there's a lot of information and a lot of different people have a lot of different information. Some of it is accurate, and I think some of it is just copy and paste. But at any rate, maybe we'll get some answers. Space weather. Space weather is brought to you by spaceweather.com. So it looks like today there might be a chance of a geomagnetic storm from a CME that might hit the Earth, and the glancing blow will be on September 24th, which is today. This might spark minor geomagnetic storms, so class G1, nothing terrible, and there could be some auroras around the Arctic Circle. We have source of flares. So for those of you who don't know, sunspots will sometimes give off solar flares, which is different from a coronal mass ejection. Those are different things. But AR3445 is crackling with activity. The mixed polarity sunspot has produced multiple M-class flares. M-class is in the middle. This weekend, including this M4 category explosion, which happened today at 0328 Zulu. So that's the image. A flash of extreme ultraviolet radiation from the flare ionized the top of Earth's atmosphere, causing a shortwave radio blackout over Australia. Mariners and ham radio operators have noticed loss of signal at frequencies below 25 megahertz for as much as 30 minutes after the flare. So, there you go. Coming down to our near-Earth asteroids. Let me pull up my calendar here. You can't see it because it's not recording, but I promise it's here. So we're looking at 24 through the 30th. Alright, so 24 through the 30th. Okay, so here's our date range. And I see this guy is in red. And it is in red because it is going to pass between us and the moon. So, today asteroid 2023 SP3 is going to make a pass, and the distance is 0.9 lunar distance. So this is going to be closer to us than the moon. The velocity is going to be 11.7 kilometers per second, and the diameter is 19 meters. It's not terribly big. It's big enough to wreck your day, though. Most definitely, especially if it was an air blast. So that's going to come by. And then on September 26th, we have 2023 SY3. September 26th, it's going to come within 3.4 lunar distance, and it is 6 meters in diameter. 16 meters in diameter. Again, nothing to sneeze at. And then the last one that's going to come close by is 2013 TG6. On September 28th, it's going to make its pass at 3.6 lunar distance, and it too is going to be more than 10 meters in diameter. This one is 17 meters in diameter. So we got 3 guys going to make a pass. This one's going to be relatively close. It would be kind of interesting if might be able to see it through some either satellites or Earth-based telescopes, because that's pretty close. It's not terribly big, but we could probably track that with some of our instruments. All right, well, here's hoping we don't die. The moon doesn't pull some kind of weird gravitational sling and chunk it at us. Okay, so let's look at the things in the sky flying by that we do want to see. We have our meteor outlook for the 23rd to the 29th, and it is from the American Meteor Society. They always have really good images. Thank you, Mr. Rich Davis, for your contribution to science. So, during this period, the moon reaches its full phase Friday, the 29th of September, which will be this upcoming Friday. So, what that's going to be meaning is it's going to be pretty bright out with the moon, and there's going to be a small window of opportunity in dark sky areas from moonset until dawn. The estimated hourly rates are going to be near 3 in mid-northern latitudes and 2 from tropical southern locations. Although it could be as many as 12 from northern latitudes and 9 from southern locations. Actual rates depend on a lot of stuff: motion perception, light, weather conditions, alertness, and experience in watching meteor activity. So, you might not get to see much, but 12 a minute isn't bad. Active meteor showers, we have the Southern Taurids. It's going on right now. It is going to peak around November 5th and 6th. And then coming up, we have the Orionids, the Northern Taurids, and the Leonids, which will be later this year. The Orionids is the next one up. And guys, I'm going to give a shout out to American Meteor Society. Feel free to log in, give them a donation, and if you see something strange in the sky, do click that report button, because UFO investigators, we use these guys to make sure we're looking at something that's explainable. Cryptozoology news. Today's cryptid section is a little different than what we normally do. Today, we are going to be talking about a documentary. So this is American Werewolves, and it was published here on YouTube July 20th on the FilmRise Movies YouTube channel. And it is definitely worth your watch. This documentary is a must-see. It is well edited. The cinematography is great. The sound design, especially for an independent project, is superb. as are most projects from small town monsters. So, this documentary is about the Dogman, which is a relatively common cryptid here in the U.S., probably second only to Bigfoot, really. And the biggest difference between Dogman and Bigfoot is that, well, for one, Dogman might be a werewolf. Like, it might actually be the answer to lycanthropy. It might be a werewolf. Now, not obviously in the traditional sense where it's a man who then changes into a wolf on the full moon, but it is a wolf man, if you will. And the scary part about this creature, if it does in fact exist, is it is a predator that will and has hunted humans as a source of food. So I guess it's time to invest in some silver and go ahead and break out the 450 and start casting silver bullets. Many of the interviews in this documentary are very sincere. These people saw something, they interacted with something, they were chased by something that left a very permanent mark on these people, and it is very easy to tell that. And in fact, one of them was nearly brought to tears, and I'm going to tell you his account here in just a moment. Now, most of these people, they're researchers or they're hunters. And I think there's at least one retired police officer, or he might be a park ranger. It's kind of hard to tell, but he's definitely law enforcement. And these are people who know what they're looking for. They're people who are out there in the woods. They are not just some random passerby who was like, "Oh my gosh, there's a thing out there." Now, a few of them are normal people. Granted, I mean that's going to happen statistically, but the one thing that is very common throughout the different accounts are that this thing, the dogman, the werewolf, whatever it is, the wolfman, it was perceived as actively hunting these people. Not that it was mimicking them, not that it was following them, that it was stalking them. So, the most chilling accounts, the interview in this documentary, it comes from an incident which happened in April, I want to say it was 2006, where a female went jogging and never returned. Now the interviewee, I'm going to back up a little bit. The interviewee, who is a researcher, found the remains of this woman's clothing that had been torn to shreds. And the scariest part about it was the fact that the clothing was covered in blood that was still wet. Now, just FYI, if you're packing, that's the moment to pull your gun out, because if the blood is still wet, something is still in the area, and it might come get you just like it came and got that other person. I know my gun would be out at that point. At any rate, the guy tries to call the cops, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, don't worry about it. It's just trash that they threw out and didn't clean up, so don't worry about it." So nothing ever comes of it, but he leaves and then comes back to collect the evidence, and by the time he gets back, it's gone. Later, at some point later, I'm not entirely sure how long, I'm pretty sure he says it, but I don't think I wrote it down. He's talking to another researcher, and he tells him that in that area, there was a woman who went jogging and never came back. This, supposedly, was her. This was her clothing. He had just missed this woman possibly being mauled by a dogman. That is absolutely chilling. Like, whew. Now, there are other people who give interviews that talk about the land between the lakes, which is a U.S. federal property. It's in the U.S. Forest Service. And apparently people have just been straight up got, like whole families just got, gone, eaten. And I'm not one for conspiracy theories, although maybe people are trying to hide it. I don't know. But if this is the case, my God, this thing's got a heck of a body count, and surely there would be a paper trail. So it's definitely something to look into. I was kind of on the fence about Dogman until I saw this documentary. So it is well worth your time. Oh, and by the way, the lady that went missing and they found her shredded clothes, that was in the area of Germantown, Ohio, on Anthony Road near the dam. So, in case you live in that area, just a heads up, FYI, stay strapped or get clapped. Now, this documentary, it's only an hour and 20 minutes. Well, hour and 21. It is free, obviously, here on YouTube. So, check out the Film Rise Movies YouTube channel. Also, check out the creators, who are Small Town Monsters. And I think I can find their logo. There we go. Check out Small Town Monsters, because a lot of the stuff they make is immaculately done. I cannot speak highly enough of these folks. I think there's only one thing that they've produced that I was like, this seems like you're spreading something too thin. But, anyway, they do really good stuff. And I bring them up not only because this documentary is really good, and most of the other stuff that they do, but also coming up in about 6 days, we have on October 1st this documentary, Werewolves Unearthed. And it's, here, I'll read you the description. Documentarian Ward Heine, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, and skeptical journalist Chad Christie have teamed up along with the Small Town Monsters to chase down leads of Dogman sightings in the Ohio Valley. Stories of werewolves have drifted from European folklore into modern American pop culture, collated in the subconscious of the populace for centuries. These tales often tell of terrifying half-man, half-canid beings that roam the forests and fields after dark. Most think of them as little more than campfire stories meant to scare children, but for some, there is much more to this than mere mythology. Now, filmmakers Ward Heine leading Werewolves Unearthed, a new Small Town Monsters production, is set to lift the veil on the enigmatic Dogmen of North America. The recent rash of werewolf sightings in western Pennsylvania have grabbed the attention of documentarian Ward Heine. In order to get to the truth behind these ongoing encounters, he enlists journalist and ardent skeptic Chad Christie in an effort to film their investigation, hoping to unravel the mysterious events unfolding in the Shenango Valley. As they spoke with witnesses and experts, a pattern emerged that might help establish what is behind ongoing sightings of werewolves in America's heartland. So, make sure you give them a like and subscribe. Click their notifications. Like I said, pretty much everything they do is really good. I'll come back to their channel page. So, right there. Got 4 people waiting. Look at that. And while you're at it, this video, where's it at? This one right here, On the Trail of Bigfoot, Search. It just dropped 3 hours ago. Got done watching it. It is very informative, and it takes a little bit different of an approach. You may have heard of the North American Wood Ape Conservatory, or you may not have heard of them. They're a group out of Texas, and they have members all over the country. And this basically follows them. It's really good, actually. It talks about what they're trying to achieve, and that they're trying to, bag a body, essentially, in this area, which seems to have more activity in it than just about anywhere else that I've ever heard of, including up in the Sierras. This place is full of activity. So, definitely give that a watch. It's only an hour and 26 minutes. And, yeah, make sure to check out Small Town Monsters. Post-biology news. Our ghost story for the day comes from The Mirror, a UK publication. The title is Eerie Footage Shows, quote, Ghost Bike, in quote, riding itself in town known for, quote, paranormal activity. The footage was taken on The Shambles, a historic street in York, which features preserved medieval buildings, some dating back to the 14th century. And for those of you that didn't pay attention in class, that would be the 1300s. So, what happened? Well, we got a pretty good summation here. This eerie CCT footage shared from an ancient city center street is causing people to lose their minds with speculation the clip could show a haunted bicycle in action. So, you can go ahead and read the rest of it if you want. This article in particular was posted on the 19th of September. However, I was able to find the original footage, or what I believe to be the original footage, here on Facebook, and it was September 13th. So, I'll blow this up here. Come on. There we go. So, obviously this is a screen, and the cell phone is taking a photo off of, or a video off of the screen. Down here we can see the Shambles, right? So that's the street, and that's the name of the particular camera. So let's pause really quick. What do we see? Well, we have the bicycle, and we have a shadow of something. Let's keep an eye on that shadow, see if it stays. The shadow stays. It doesn't look like it really moves. That shadow might be something stationary, like a pole or something. It doesn't look like it's a person. Well, I don't know. It kind of moves, but it could just be the fact that the camera, the phone, is moving. So, let's take a look at the bike next. Nope, 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 nope. Cancel. Replay. Okay, so, could someone push a bike and make it roll? Absolutely. It's called gyroscopic stabilization. It's not that difficult of a thing to pull off. However, the slower you go, the less stabilized the object is. So, this bicycle is not going very fast at all. It's probably covering maybe 20, 30 feet. Maybe. But it's standing up right there. on the very edge of the screen. It travels forward. It wobbles. Keeps going. It's still wobbling. It's still wobbling. Hits the curb. It stops, sits still, and then falls over. So, watch it wobble. It's wobbling, 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 wobbling to the right, wobbling to the left. Stop, and then falls over. So, I don't. Now, it stops, and I don't think that it stops because it hits the curb. I mean, it looks like it's in contact with the curb, but it looks like it just stops on its own. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. It might be on the curb. Let's look at it. So we see the shadow of the bike. The shadow of the bike is pretty clear. Doesn't seem to be any other shadow. I don't see a wire, although that doesn't mean anything. So it's wobbling back and forth. But notice the pedals aren't moving, but I guess that's not really anything of note. And then, does it come in contact? It looks like it does. It looks like maybe the front wheel comes in contact because the wheel looks like it turns ever so slightly. And then it just sits stationary and then falls over. What do you guys think? I don't know what to. I have no idea what to think about it. I mean, you would assume that if it was a prank, they would say, "Oh yeah, we captured this on the film," but then later we also saw on the same film that somebody came and set up some fishing wire and it was guiding the bike along and whatnot. But I don't know if anybody would have thought to check for fishing wire. You would assume that the evidence of it would still be in the street. Or if it wasn't, the people who, whoever had this camera would have seen the person either setting it up or taking it down. So, I don't know. It is very intriguing, to say the least. So, why don't you guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think this is real? Do you think it's completely fake? I mean, the way it wobbles back and forth, it's not moving fast enough to actually stand up on its own. Like if a person were on it, that might be a little bit different because a person could help to steady it. But it doesn't seem like has any mass on it. And obviously nothing's pedaling it. It's just kind of, rolling. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And I hope stuff like this keeps coming in. Upcoming events. Our first upcoming event is the WPA Cryptid and Supernatural Expo, which will be happening this upcoming weekend, Saturday, September 30th. And it will be at the Johnstown Masonic Event and Conference Center. Located in, give me just a second, Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of information. Just this one right here. It's going to be held at a Masonic temple. It's going to be open to the public. There will be lectures featuring Stan Gordon and 3 other speakers. Ticket information for speakers will be made available once it is received. Okay. So, that's our first one. Okay. The WPA Cryptid and Supernatural Expo, Saturday, September 30th, Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Next, did you know there is a National Ghost Hunting Day? Well, there sure is. September 30th, the same day, is National Ghost Hunting Day. So, grab the K2 meter, a significant other, or others, perhaps, friends, and, go tromps around a cemetery. See if you can't find something. That's actually not that good of an idea, because cemeteries, they're not really great for actual activity. But at any rate, it's a thought that counts, right? Maybe you can go get a ghost tour. So, September 30th is National Ghost Hunting Day. Next, we have the Bigfoot Base Camp Weekend, which will be October 5 through October 8. So it's a Thursday to a Sunday. There's going to be a lot to do. You have your information here, $30 per car. Then there's also a daily pass, $15 for each day. You're going to be able to meet Matt Moneymaker if you'd like to. He's actually a pretty cool guy. I met him in Tennessee not too long ago. They're going to have a BFRO investigator panel, guided hikes, a campfire, arts and crafts. Obviously, Matt Moneymaker's going to be there. They're going to have a Bigfoot pontoon tour. That sounds interesting. A tie-dye t-shirt thing going on. And several authors will also be making presentations. So, yeah. Bigfoot Base Camp Weekend. Pleasant Hill Lake Park. And this is going to be in Perrysville, Ohio. October 5th through the 8th. Next is the Hanobia Bigfoot Festival and Conference. It will be happening October 6th and 7th in Hanobia, Oklahoma. The festival is free for admission, and the conference is $10 per day. You can see some of the cool photos from previous years. And then bring up the schedule here. So here's some of the speakers. All right. They'll have helicopter rides Friday and Saturday, weather permitting. They'll have food vendors, craft vendors, a kids zone with a bouncy house, face painting, live music, storytelling around the fire, and of course also the Bigfoot conference where they will have their 3 speakers. So that is the Hanobia Bigfoot Festival and Conference, October 6th and 7th. Next up, also happening on the 7th of October, is the Sick Chick Flicks Film Festival. So this is going to happen October 7th from noon to midnight at the Varsity Theater in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And it's going to feature a lot of films, all of them with females in key production roles. So we have here's titles for the different blocks: 12 o'clock block, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and so on. There will be room for panels, so you can talk to the filmmakers. There'll also be a Q&A, and it goes all the way down to 11:30 p.m., which will be the awards. Now, I haven't had permission to say this yet, but it is possible I might be live streaming the awards and maybe doing a few interviews with some of the creators. Very excited. This is my first official event. I am actually covering, not just visiting. So, if you're in Chapel Hill and you want to support female creators, come on down to the Varsity Theater, October 7, for the Sick Chick Flicks Film Festival. And it is a horror, sci-fi, and fantasy. So they're either short or feature-length films, but it's horror, sci-fi, and fantasy. Next up, also the same day, October 7th, if you are in Canada, or at least the eastern portion of Canada, you might want to go to the 2013 Halifax Paranormal Symposium. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of information on it. The Halifax Paranormal Symposium is an educational and entertaining event that involves the paranormal. The theme of the symposium this year, Real Case. Files, investigation, studies, and personal experiences will be held at the Halifax Tower Hotel and Conference Center. See address there. Again, that's going to be on October 7th. And here are some of the speakers. So, also October 7th, Halifax Paranormal Symposium. So we have 3 different events on October 7th. Moving on down, we have the South Carolina Bigfoot Festival, which is going to be happening October 13 and 14. It's going to be in Westminster, South Carolina. Right there, Westminster. And they are going to have live music, expert speakers, Bigfoot tales, food and crafts vendors, a Bigfoot themed contest, so different kinds, children's activities, and more. So this looks like it'll be quite a bit of fun. I'm hoping to make it there myself. It's only about 4 to 5 hours away, so we'll see if I'm able to make it. Here's a look at the schedule. Different speakers that will be speaking and their photos. Alright, so October 13th and 14th, South Carolina Bigfoot Festival, Westminster, South Carolina. Alright, coming to the end, we only got a few more. We have the Tennessee Wildman and Cryptid Con, which will be held October 14 and 15. You can find this event on eventbrite.com. The location will be in Burns, Tennessee. And they actually have quite a bit of information here on this particular Eventbrite webpage. Normally, if it's on Eventbrite, they have like the bare minimum of information, but these guys have quite a bit of it. So, let's take a look at what we got here. So they're going to be talking about Bigfoot, they're going to be talking about the Tennessee Pygmies, they're going to be talking about the Bell Witch of Adam, Tennessee. Let's see. They're going to be talking about the werewolf of Burns, Montgomery. Very interesting. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, if I'd be able to make it. Probably not. I'm usually very busy in October, but this sounds like an event that I would love to get my hands on. Here's the venue that's going to be holding it this year. It's a pretty nice site. And we have Ron Moorhead is going to be the guest of honor. I actually got to meet him a couple years back. He's a really cool guy. And the book, Quantum Bigfoot, read it. You need to read it. So, yep, there's Ron. And some other speakers here. Yeah, plenty of speakers. They're going to be at this event. They're at something else that I've seen. I know, because I recognize that photo. Wait a minute. Yeah, I was about to say Scott Carpenter's definitely not going to be there because he unfortunately passed away. But God bless you, Scott. They get a lot of speakers, a lot of good information. So if you wanted to learn more about their website, come on over to eventbrite.com and you can check them out. The event organizer is 14, Fortean, Tennessee. Bet you guys didn't know 14 was another word for cryptozoology. Anyway, Tennessee Wildman and CryptidCon, October 14th and 15th in Burns, Tennessee. Next up, we have the Rougarou Festival, October 20th through the 22nd in Yuma, Louisiana. And there's plenty of stuff to do. They're going to have a queen crowning and let's see, things to do. So they're going to have arts and crafts, carnival rides, fun for the whole family. Let's see. So there's going to be a trick or treat. It's going to have the live music. Going to have a run, 2 runs. No, that's registration. So they're going to have a run, and they're going to talk about some environmental stuff, culture and climate, more live music, costume contest, all sorts of stuff. There's also going to be some more live music, and yeah, so Yuma, I'm assuming that I'm pronouncing that right. Yuma, Louisiana, October 20th and 22nd is the Rougarou Festival. Friday, October 20th, so this is the same event, or same weekend, is the Texas Bigfoot Conference in Jefferson, Texas. And here we have the confirmed speakers for the days. And look at the schedule. So this looks like it would be very fun to go do, especially because it's going to be catered and barbecue. It's got me kind of hungry. So, Jefferson, Texas, October 20th, Texas Bigfoot Conference. All right. October 21st, we have the Upper Cumberland Bigfoot Festival. You can get to meet all kinds of folks, especially people from the cast of Monster Hunters, such as Wild Bill, Huckleberry, and Buck. You will also get to meet Bigfoot expert Cliff Barackman. I've met him a couple of times now. There will also be food and craft vendors. It's $5 admission, cash only at the gate. Make sure you bring cash. That's an important thing to know. And it is going to be in Crossville, Tennessee. So, Saturday, October 21st, we have the Upper Cumberland Bigfoot Festival in Crossville, Tennessee. And lastly, there is the Bigfoot Con Yakima, which will be October 27th through the 29th. It's going to be in Yakima Valley. Well, it's Yakima Valley, but the town is Toppenish, Washington. So, October 27th to the 29th, Toppenish, Washington. It will be the second annual Bigfoot Con. This is a new event that I just added. So, native arts and crafts, Bigfoot vendors, speakers, presenters. Hopefully, they'll have some more information on their website here soon. So, that is all of the events. And if you are an event organizer, feel free to reach out, send us an email, and we'll be more than happy to include your event for free as well. Well, that's all we have time for this week, folks. If you like what you heard, please comment, like, share, subscribe, and make sure to turn on notifications. All of that stuff helps out the algorithm, and it helps us be discovered by people who might want to see our content. If you did not like what you heard today, then I thank you for listening this long. Please leave a comment. Let us know what we can do to improve. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Paranormal Ops 23, and on Instagram and Rumble at Paranormal Operator 23. Our website, where you can find our blog and make a report of paranormal activity, is paranormaloperator23.com. You can also find our secondary blog on Medium. We are also on Nextdoor as Paranormal Operator. The email, if you want to reach out, is paranormaloperator23@gmail.com. Or if you don't trust Google with your contact information, it's contact@paranormaloperator23.com. Until next time, folks, keep searching in the darkness.